France, like America, the flying saucer mystery makes headlines. A young Frenchman photographed this flying saucer, or is it, from a mountainside in central France. Military officials, suspecting that the object was a meteorological balloon...
Welcome back, video creeps. It's that time again. Little bit of review action. And we're traveling way outside of our orbit for this one. I'm gonna tell you guys a tale. Teach you a couple things from when the aliens came to attack us. That's right, we were assaulted, people. It's all here in this documentary that I just saw. A little something that we all call Mars attacks. So let's do this. It's gonna be far out. Remember, watch the whole video. Don't be a bitch. Now, obviously, Mars Attacks is the 1996 film about a bunch of aliens that come to Earth and just wreck shit. And Tim Burton was definitely the frontrunner on this thing, for sure, but something that a lot of people may not know is that production for Mars Attacks actually started way back in the 80s with a totally different dude. British screenwriter Alex Cox, who's best known for his work in movies like Repo Man, Sid and Nancy, which is a fucking personal favorite of mine, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He got the idea in his head to make a Mars Attacks screenplay after coming across a rather interesting set of cards. The Topps company, who originally made their name in baseball cards, kinda took a big swing when they decided to commission a man named Norman Saunders, a prolific 20th century American commercial artist who is best known for his paintings in Pulp magazine. He created this collection of really unsettling images that depicted little aliens coming down to Earth and attacking our planet. And not for nothing, the shit is crack. These are amazing works of art. There's even a book that you can buy that has all of the card artwork in it. It's fucking rad. You can find it on my wish list. However, Cold War paranoia was fucking high. And the public got offended by seeing their kids playing around with these cards that depicted gruesome deaths. And it kind of caused a controversy, leading Topps to discontinue it. There's only 55 of these cards. Think they're badass? I did too. But if you want the full set, it's gonna run you about $2,000. So, I wish you luck on that adventure. Now, looking at these cards, Alex was able to craft a story that we do see in the film. However, not even a single word of dialogue actually makes it into the movie. But what's really cool is when Tim Burton got this in his hands, he decided to incorporate shots from those cards directly into the movie. So if you're a super emphatic collector of Mars Attacks, you can kind of look at scenes in this movie and go, wait, that's from the card series. That's fucking badass. Now, one of the things that you're gonna notice when looking at the cards is that they are way darker than what we actually see in the movie. You're gonna pick up on that right away. Something that you would have picked up on even sooner is if this movie had a bunch of fucking dinosaurs in it. Which it almost did, I'm not just saying things. Topps also had a series called Dinosaurs Attack, and a full screenplay was written in lieu with Mars Attacks. However, because Jurassic Park was such a mammoth hit, Tim Burton decided to develop Mars Attacks instead. Which, thank God, because the look of Mars Attacks is so iconic. And while the look of the aliens do maintain this aesthetic that Tim Burton is able to bring to his films, and simultaneously sticking to what the aliens look like in the cards, all the while being CGI, which originally Tim Burton wanted this to be stop motion, staying to his roots and shit, but after seeing Industrial Light and Magic and what they could do, especially after their work in Jumanji, production reached out to see what test footage would look like, and they really dug it. And of course, it would kick ass. Like, they were working on things like Terminator 2. They even worked on Jurassic Park. These guys, they knew what they were doing. So much so that at the request of Tim Burton, they were even able to animate the aliens so that way they look like they move in a stop motion film. But not all of the design is given straight to the cards and Tim Burton. A gigantic wealth of inspiration for the look of these aliens was taken from a movie called This Island Earth. A movie that's more known these days for getting shit on by Mystery Science Theater rather than its actual subject matter. But the aliens, I mean, fucking they look cool in this thing. An incredibly sad, true coincidence is that a ton of people take Mars Attacks and actually think that it's a parody of the film Independence Day, which also happened to come out in 1996. However, this is just not true. Development and production on Mars Attacks started way before Independence Day. Even if, when watching the plot of both films, the similarities are extremely similar. Dean Devlin, one of the creators of Independence Day, actually spoke about how he was well aware of Mars Attacks, and how he pushed his crew to get the movie out before Mars Attacks. Because if his movie came out after what would seem like a parody, no one would want or take his film seriously. And honestly, I fucking gotta give it to him for that. Yeah, that was a smart call. Before Independence Day or after Independence Day, Mars Attacks wouldn't have been affected. If it came out before, it seems really creative and fun. If it comes out after, it just seems like a parody. For Mars Attacks to come out first and then Independence Day, we would look at it as a joke because it's already been made fun of. So all credit to that guy. Howard Stern also claims that this movie stole a radio sketch of his that he aired like way back in 1982. And it's actually called Slim Whitman versus the Midget Aliens from Mars, to which Tim Burton says that this is a complete coincidence. Now, I've listened to Howard Stern's version, and I will link that in the bottom of my description here for you to make your own opinion on it. But my 2 cents, I think it would have been feasible as a coincidence if it wasn't the exact same fucking artist. I don't know what you're trying to sell here, guy, but like, fucking suspect. Intellectual theft aside, let's get into the movie. Now, the opening scene in this thing makes a fucking statement and a half. In case you hadn't seen a herd of cows on fire, this film eradicates that. Off top! Which, by the way, burning cows, that's one of the cards from the series. Ton of that in this fucking thing. We head over to Mars and see a bunch of UFOs starting to ascend towards Earth. And right off the bat, I'm beginning to think that this isn't a documentary. This thing isn't built off facts. You know how fucking far Mars is from Earth? I can't fucking imagine that Mars has this kind of view of Earth. The human eye can only see 3 miles at best. I know I'm harping, but like fucking that really bugged me. Another thing that kind of bugs me, I mean bug is a strong word, but like I notice it. The UFOs fly in like perfect triangle formation, like they're migrating ducks and shit. I don't believe that. I'll believe it for a second. This is not a documentary. Anyway, Jack Nicholson is the president, and Martin Short is his right-hand man. So yeah, some fifth dimension shit going on in this film. Because in our dimension, these bitches is actors. Again, just really starting to doubt that this is a documentary. In any case, these motherfuckers is hype that aliens are coming to town. Meanwhile, little 12-year-old Natalie Portman is Jack Nicholson's daughter, and she's like our gloomy Wednesday Addams almost kind of fucking creature character. And this is kind of where the film starts to go. We just start picking up with different characters all across America. In Vegas, we got Danny DeVito. In Kansas, we got Army Man Jack Black. Carrie Bradshaw in New York. Surprise, surprise. And in it, she's married to Marty McFly, who, since parting with the Doc, apparently just hates and abuses chihuahuas. Now, originally this role was gonna go to Johnny Depp, so that way all you fucking people who love your Tim Burton Johnny Depp fix would have been appeased. But for whatever reason, Johnny Depp turned down the role. And I tried, I couldn't find out why. Now, Carrie Bradshaw's show is fucking badass. I mean, look at those boots. Look at those fucking big bulbous seats that they get to sit. That shit's fly as hell. But while talking about the aliens coming to Earth, the show gets interrupted by said aliens. On some fucking like, y'all talking about me? Kind of energy. Ain't nobody talking about you, boo-boo. Get on with your nosy ass. But the best scientists are going over the broadcast and using this poster as a reference, which is fucking badass, but also makes no sense. Cause how the fuck would they know the anatomy of one of these creatures? We just found out that they even exist. It's still a badass poster and it's dope, but all that shit's speculation. Again, don't get it twisted. Love the poster. Someone get it for me. Thank you. And they start to decipher what the broadcast meant. But what they walk away with is fuck all. They can't decipher it just yet. They're working on it, but not yet. You know, I almost feel like I can't even review this thing linearly, like how I normally review films, because we jump around so often. So I'm really gonna try and stick to the main storyline in this thing. But every now and again, like, I will pause to fucking talk about a random ridiculous thing. Oh, look at that, a random ridiculous thing. How the fuck Does this bus driver know to stop? Like, it's a completely unmarked in the middle of no, that's weird, right? That's weird. Then again, I'm a fucking city guy. New York, San Francisco, LA, back to fucking the Bay Area. Like, fucking, I don't know how it works in small towns. Somebody tell me. I'd love to be smarter. Also, super funny, a fucking pussycat named Muffy. Hysterical. Love that. Now, the US Army gets the pleasure of meeting the aliens first, because our military is in the most movies. And the entire US nation is watching this thing go down. I don't know how good of a shot this guy's getting, but like, you know, motherfuckers is tuned in. Of the spacecraft, and he has a little army with him. And he says that he is the Martian ambassador, which to me is fucking very strange that he would call himself the Martian ambassador. Like, we made up the word Mars, son. You motherfuckers straight jacking our shit, even from all the way over there? This motherfucker should have been like, I am the king of the Claborgles, or fucking whatever. What kind of fucking crazy ass coincidence would it be that they just so happen to also refer to themselves as Martians? I feel like we should call them Martians and they should be like, whoa, that's fucking derogatory. Anyway, if this movie's name is any indication, shit goes bad. And then Jack Black gets vaporized. So does Marty McFly. Like, he's right out of this film. Now, if you're nice and inquisitive and wondering why the skeletons turned green and red, that's actually because it's a callback to the movie Beetlejuice, where we first see red and green skeletons. But the Martians did say that they came in peace. And being the good-natured human beings that we are, we decide to fucking listen to them. Take the whole thing as a misunderstanding. It's all good. But taking a look back at the Martian behind closed quarters, they're like figuring out our very weird planet. They're like playing with batteries and flipping through Playboys and shit. And it turns out that they kidnapped New York's most eligible writer. And now Carrie Bradshaw has the body of Carrie Bradshaw, but the head of a chihuahua. But the Martians go to apologize to our government officials anyway for the whole killing everyone fiasco, citing it as just an embarrassing incident. But we allow them into like the Oval Office or fucking whatever. It just looks like an important room. We just let the motherfucker in there. And of course, the Martian whips out a fucking ray gun and just starts laying waste to motherfuckers. And finally, we declare war on these bitch ass Martians, who have since sent a spy down to Earth who Martin Short mistakes for like a sexy potential date. And he wasn't the only one. The actress portraying Martian Girl is actually a woman named Lisa Marie, who at the time was exchanging looks with Tim Burton, with her being his like, you know, his boo thang and all. And you have to give it up to her in this performance, because she goes up and beyond in a way that most people don't even realize or give her the credit for. For example, the apparatus that is on this woman's head was 2 wigs mixed together and actually quite heavy. So much so that she now has a scar on her fucking head for the rest of her life. That's dedication. Even if you take a look at her outfit, it's so skin tight and there's no zippers or anything. She had to get sewn into that outfit. Not a role for somebody with IBS. In fact, in any shot that you see of her, she never even blinks. That's a fucking tough ass actress. She knocked out the park, and she deserves for us to talk about it. Now, Martin Short tries to fuck it, but that only goes so far because he ends up getting like his finger bitten off, and then he gets like death by statue. Now, on the prowl, the Martian tries to attack the president in his sleep, but fails fucking miserably, pissing the ambassador right the fuck off and sending his troops to Earth to really start to fuck things up. Things are about to get fucking ham and cheese up in here. It's not a bad expression. I wonder why people don't say that anymore. I feel like we can say that if like you're trying to talk about someone who's being crazy and shit, you know? I don't know, I just feel like he's cheating on me. Girl, you are ham and cheese. Now, the aliens take full fucking force, setting fire to the government officials and vaporizing anybody who stands in their way. They even crush the First Lady with the Ronald Reagan chandelier. And then from this point in the movie, it's just goddamn Destruction City. We watched Las Vegas go even further into the shitter, which is a shame because at the time they had Tom Jones performing and shit. Which they got Tom Jones in this movie because Tim Burton went to go see him. Kind of a funny little thing that Tim Burton is a Tom Jones fan, but cool. And Tom Jones being a super cool guy, he brought all of his actual backup dancers from his performance in Vegas to the movie. So that's the squad right there. That's cool to see. One of my favorite things about the attack in Vegas is you see them just laying, they're killing and fucking everything. There's explosions and it's a sight. But the whole time the Martians are pre-playing a fucking speaker that's saying, "Don't run away, we're your friends." And again, if you're an emphatic collector, this is where a lot of that imagery is going to be coming in. This is a great place to start being oh, that's from this card or that's from that card. This is where it gets really beefy in that way. And now we're starting to see it going all over the world. Big Ben gets blasted. Mount Rushmore gets its shit rocked in. I'm telling you, it's fucking ham and cheese. And of course, there's just lots and lots of murder across this whole thing. Even Danny DeVito couldn't save himself, and he offered that alien a Rolex. Seemingly, there is no escape from this unstoppable attack. That is, until this is played. Leading the Martians' heads to explode? What the fuck? And why? But before we could get into that, we see President Jack Torrance get as real can be once he's confronted by the ambassador once more, reasoning with him and giving the ambassador a beautiful speech about peace and humanity, bringing the ambassador to actually shed a tear, shaking the president's hand, and then fucking killing him with it. Then the flag, to Mars, comes out of his body. It's actually it's badass, very savage. The boy from Kansas gets in the car with his grandmother after playing that song, and they head off to the radio station. So that way they can play this song that will explode and kill all of the Martians. Which, just to touch on it, I read that after this movie came out, Slim Whitman actually got a bunch of ridicule and backlash from people for his musical sensibilities and his work, which I think is really fucking shitty. The man gave his life to making this kind of music, and yeah, though it's not for me exactly, it's kind of sad that we made such a big mockery of him in the States. Luckily for Slim Whitman, he actually did way better commercially overseas. So, haters gonna hate, but my man's is winning. The heavyweight champion of the world / football player Jim Brown. Yeah, he boxes an alien because the movie's almost over and why not? Kansas Boy is actually able to play the music for the rest of the world. I don't know what the fuck radio station this is, where they have access to the entire airwaves across the world. This place has crazy capabilities, and all of the Martians who are attacking the Earth die. Kansas Boy gets the highest Medal of Honor imaginable for saving the planet, and he starts to suggest that we rebuild. But instead of rebuilding houses, we should rebuild teepees, because they're better in a lot of ways. Doesn't explain it at all, and just gets the fuck off stage. Can you imagine if I did some shit like that? I saved the fucking world from a major catastrophe. Then when I go and end my acceptance speech, I'm just hey, by the way, I just think that we should make slides out of wood again, because in a lot of ways they were better. What a weird thing to put stock in without any explanation. Tom Jones sings to a bunch of animals like he's fucking Snow White. Or at least I think it's Snow White who sings to the animals. Someone fact check me on that, I want to know in the comments. And the movie fucking ends.
Final
I gotta tell you guys, for a movie that's an hour and 45 minutes long, not a terrible amount of things happen here. And that's totally okay. Aliens come to Earth, they fuck things up, we defeat the aliens, happy ending. This is fucking turn your brain off fuel. If I was still an avid pot smoker, this is the kind of shit that I would turn on just to tune out to. But that said, it's far from a lazy movie. The devil is in the details when it comes to this film. It's the small shit that your brain picks up without you consciously knowing that you're picking it up. like the fact that this film takes place in the 90s. But the entire military that you see in the film has on 1950s soldier uniforms. Mentally, that does something to you. It's a very specific and curated mental cue that the creators of this movie did intentionally. We're supposed to feel like we are spoofing an old school 1950s sci-fi film, and we very much do feel that way. Even Danny Elfman's score in this has this weird sci-fi feel to it. That's a legitimate treat when watching a movie, and an awesome ability to give me. Not many films give you the option to tune out completely and still know what's going on, and enjoy the film still, and also give you the option to pay complete attention and pick up nuggets and treasures along the way. You're rewarded for paying attention, and it's still equally as enjoyable. What an amazing skill. Also, I'm just gonna shoehorn this in there because it popped into my head and I want to talk about it. Yo, no one gave a fuck about Barbara's slip and alcoholism. That shit was not taken seriously at all. When we meet that character, she's at a fucking AA meeting and shit. Clearly her sobriety was a big part of her fucking character. Yet we see her like grab a drink and nobody bats an eye. No one gives a fuck. And then it's not even like played for a joke later where we see her super drunk or anything. It's just like this weird secret dark thing about this character. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about that, but like, fuck, that's dark. This movie was just really smart in its execution. For example, at one point, the aliens in this thing were gonna have subtitles. We would have known every single thing that they say, every act would have been determined for us. But I'm so glad that they decided not to do that. There's an undeniable fun that we have with not knowing why these aliens are doing this. There's an ambiguous nature to like not knowing what their motives are. Did they come here to harvest? Did they come here just to fuck shit up? Really, it's fucking up to you. It's another one of those mental cues that the film is able to play around with. It does the work for you until you decide to do the work for yourself. Mars Attacks is just fun and a good time. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't like this movie. I can't even think of anyone who hates Mars Attacks. When the reception's all across the board like that, it's for a fucking reason. The film is star-studded, like fucking we have everyone in this fucking thing. And it brings all of these people together for what? For us to have a good time. And that's what happens when you watch Mars Attacks. You have a fucking good time. I hope you guys learned a lot with this little review of Mars Attacks. As always, if you're not already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that way you always know when I do a new video. And if you want to, you can follow me across my social media. That's going to be down in the description below, in addition to my Patreon link, where if you like the creep and if you want to fucking support the channel, donate a little something, that's where you go. And then I'll take your name and I'll put it in the Patreon song, amongst a bunch of other things depending on how much you want to be a Patreon for. That's gonna be it for this video. Peace, video creeps.
Appreciation comes in many forms. Those who stay for you will stay and brave the storm. Rebecca reviews, Kyoto, Larry Sherman, Corey Stewart, Coven, Spooky and Butcher's Grindhouse, Lolo Exco, Six Siren and Michael Andrews. You guys, you mean so much to me, makes me think of where I'd be without your love, without your heart.